This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
To know yourself, you must sacrifice the illusion that you already do. Vironika Tugaleva. Valeria Teles interviews Benedict Florio on self-awareness and beyond. Benedicte built her career in the luxury hospitality industry, working for companies of different sizes and cultures across the Middle East, Europe, and North America. Working and living in so many countries has exposed her to human nature and all its differences and similarities. She has held many leadership positions and roles for leading brands, from operations to marketing and communications, and brings her understanding of what it means to change careers and adapt to challenges to her coaching practice. As a career and leadership coach, Benedicte works with clients across industries and continents to find the career they were meant for and ways to excel within it. She believes that who we are should define what we do, and that what we do defines who we are, which is why she specializes in coaching that focuses on professional life, including managing career transition, finding and changing career, improving leadership skills, confidence, and focus, overcoming professional challenges, opening a business, integrating into a new team or role, creating work-life balance. Her coaching practice is integrative. She draws from her multidisciplinary background that includes experience in luxury hospitality and marketing, as well as an MBA, a master's in career consulting, and certifications in life coaching, PCC, Professional Certified Coach designation with the International Coach Federation, and CPCC, Certified Professional Co-Active Coach with the Coaches Training Institute. Psychometric testing, strong interest inventory, alternative therapy approach, Certified Quantum Energy Coaching, QEC practitioner, and conscious communication. Meet Benedicte at benedictecoaching.com. Here is the interview with Benedict Florio.
In your own words, who is Benedict Florio?
Oh, wow. That's a very wide question. Benedict Florio is an adventurous person, a traveler, a nomad, a professional coach, in love with life and people, fascinated by every simple things of life, but especially people, asking herself too many questions, yeah. To others, a lot of questions as well. I guess that's what a coach does.
From your perspective, what is to be simple and to live a simple life?
To be simple, when I hear you asking that, it's like I feel in my body lots of space, feeling of serenity, and a deep connection to myself, as if, I just need to welcome what's there without making things too complex. And I feel, or I believe, that living things in a simple manner is probably just finding the best way to live your values and to make sure that you are actually aligned with your values, because more you are aligned with them and more things are smooth and easy. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that answer.
If I may add on that, I think it's simply what life has to offer. What's already there, basically. It's the sun, it's the nature, the people, it's a smile, and it's not necessarily something that you would create, but just something that you would welcome the way it is.
I love that. That sounds spiritual to me. For you, this is a spiritual understanding or practice?
I think it's probably related to my inner child, or to that part of me that was there, or that is still there somehow. And that's what I appreciate with kids. They just take things the way they come. They are very curious. They seem, sometimes they just ask very, very transparent questions that seem too simple, but actually when you really look at them, they are very deep and profound. And it's maybe looking at things from that perspective, that every little, even simple thing can actually be profound. It really depends what you want to do with them. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm answering your question right, but yeah.
It's a challenge, isn't it, to not get caught up in thoughts and believe that we are thoughts in all the stories we tell.
Oh yeah, that's very, very challenging, and I think it's the case for everyone. So even though I practice coaching every day and I do practice those concepts every day, I also find myself caught up in my own thoughts from time to time. So I think it's a matter of being aware of them and having enough self-awareness. We're talking about that a little earlier, but more you place your conscious on yourself, whether it's your mind, your heart, your body, more you can actually adjust and fine-tune what you really want to live and think and believe in.
And we'll be exploring the topic of self-awareness in the moment. Before that, how do you define true leadership, Benedict?
Well, first of all, I think we all are leaders, leaders of ourselves. It's not just a matter of having a specific role in a company or managing people. You are, first of all, your own leader. And I actually think it all starts with self-awareness. More you know yourself, more you can adapt your behaviors in specific situations. So to me, it's understanding who you are, what your values are, your personality traits, your interests, your emotions, what you dream of, what scares you. It's a little bit as if you were cooking a dish and you actually need all the right ingredients to cook the perfect dish, depending on who you are inviting, what the occasion is about, and so on and so on. And so it's finding a way to play around with those ingredients. But to me, leadership is, yes, definitely about self-awareness, but it's also about integrity. So again, coming back to, am I acting in a way that actually I can respect my own values? It's also about trust and self-confidence. Trusting others, but also trusting yourself. I believe a good leader would also inspire others. They would be inspiring others by leading by example. So it's not just about saying, I am like that, or I should be doing this, or you should be doing this, but really acting in a way that aligns with your words. I see a lot of passion as well and commitment in leaders. It's also what inspires others. And one thing that is very important to me would be autonomy and responsibility. So really taking responsibility again for your words, your actions, your emotions, and owning them, owning the person that you are as a whole.
I love that. When you say integrity, that's what I thought about, integration. So everything is integrated. And you are this whole person. Everything that you do, you think, it's connected. There's no gaps, really, which is, it seems like another practice. Or would you say that this is something that comes easier for some people than others?
I would say so. Just by experience, when I look at my own clients, some of them are very young, and I'm always impressed by their self-awareness and the questions they can have around themselves, and how they can actually observe themselves and adjust themselves. And sometimes I would work with much older people, and they don't have that awareness about themselves. And I think it's also related to being interested into that, more interested, in who you are and why you do act like that or not. More you would actually have that self-awareness. People who are not really interested into it would not pay attention to their behaviors or to their words, and therefore they will be less aware of themselves.
Another question I have for you is the idea of success. What is to be successful to you these days? And what are some of the misconceptions we have about success?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think success is very specific to every one of us. So we all have our own definition of what success is about. And like you said, you asked me, what is success for you now? And definitely it is probably different from what success meant 10 years ago for me. What success is about for me now, I would say, I'm just going to go back to simplicity, but I think it's what it is. It's being as much as you can in a place where you can actually experience satisfying emotions, where you can actually feel calm and serene and joyful. It's what is important to me as well is to contribute, so to be able to give to others. We all have needs, fundamental needs, whether it's eating, sleeping, having a roof on our head, but it's very much also about contributing and giving, and that's very part as well of us as human beings. So what else is success for me? Again, I think being myself, very simply, again, making sure that what I do is aligned with my own values. That would be a success to me. In our society, I think success, so what I'm describing is much more related to my being and who I am, and probably to my soul as well. But I believe our society is describing success more related to what you do and what you achieve, how you made it, basically. And it's more related to a more material aspect as well, or the status or the reputation that you can have. And it doesn't mean that it's not important to me. Yes, there are some part of it that are important as well. But again, I think it's always finding the right balance between your being and your doing. And then your being would nurture your doing, and your doing would nurture your being as well. So it's important, according to me, to be clear with who you are, what you want, what is a nice experience for you, what it is that you want to live every day. And so because it's clear to you, then you can act accordingly, and you can be set into motion to make that happen. And if you're just in your being, then not much will happen, because you also need to go into action. And on the contrary, if you actually do too much all the time, and you're too much into acting on things, and you forget why you do what you do, then there is also a disconnection. So to me, it's finding the right balance and always checking with yourself, where do I stand in my being, where do I stand in my doing, or the two of them aligned.
Another question I have for you is the warm-up questions, is the purpose of the human experience. What do you think that is?
That's such a topic. I want to say that it just comes back to love. I think that the purpose of each one of us is just to love and to be loved. And what I mean by be loved is you loving yourself. And it's how you really experiment love, and it's willing to experiment love in different aspects of your life, whether it's through your relationships or even work or your connection with the nature or whatever it is. But I think at the end of the day, everything that we just want to experience is love.
True. So true. Do you believe in the practice of unconditional self-love?
Yeah, that's tough though.
It is a challenge.
Yeah, I do. I think it's I think we all learned differently how to love. And I think if I have to speak about myself, I think I learned love, and I learned loving with having expectations eventually. And when you talk about unconditional love, it's very much about, finding a way to detach myself from that conditioning that come from my family and my personal surrounding. But it's very much about just loving for what it is. And it's actually very powerful, and it's true love, and it's a different level of connection to love. And we come back to simplicity, because actually it is so simple to love, as long as you don't have any expectations.
What is the meaning of freedom to you? What is to be free?
Oh, that's really, really, really important to me, to anyone, for sure. Yeah. I think anything that I do is to make sure that I can actually live more freedom. But what does it really mean? It's, again, it comes back to the freedom of being yourself, but at the same time, it's hard. Because it's being vulnerable, it's taking risks, it's taking risks to confront yourself to people, to situations that won't agree with your own definition of freedom and your actions and who you really are. And I think it really comes back to how much it is important to word your thoughts, and to word in a way that they can reveal really who you are, your authenticity, and make sure that all those words are very honest. And at the same time, it's also respecting others' freedom. And to me, it always comes back to the same thing, which is communication. And it's how do I communicate my freedom to others so I can respect my own needs, but I don't walk on others' needs, and I make sure that I can actually respect their own freedom.
So the responsibility comes with freedom, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's, earlier we were talking about that when we were describing what a leader is. Yeah. And to me, that's very much about that. It's the responsibility of that as well, and everything that you are.
You are a career and leadership coach. What inspired you to become a leadership coach and career coach, Benedict?
I believe my own story. I think I never really knew what I wanted to do career-wise. So now I basically help people to identify who they are and what work, what field they should work in that would actually align with who they are. So that's one way. So I had many different jobs. I I was pretty successful in what I did before, but I couldn't find meaning and fulfillment. And now what really drives me is to support people in identifying a job that would actually align with who they are, but making sure they can actually have fun and find satisfaction in what they do. And leadership, because I don't think I've ever had anyone mentoring me or managing me in a proper manner. I always ended up in roles where my managers were leaving for some reason, and then I was taking their role, but I've never been taught how to be a leader or a good manager. And so I had to learn everything by myself, and whoever was above me was not necessarily very present. So I had to learn on my own and drive my own activities on my own. And I really find that sad, because it's probably one of the reasons I left my previous company and I left the industry where I used to work before, because there was a lack of leadership, there was a lack of guidance and inspiration, and it is important.
Would you say that that's what it is, what you have now? Have found your purpose?
So it's a really interesting question, because I would say I did find my purpose, and I definitely shaken up my entire life to go back to school. At that time, I was living in the Middle East when I decided to change career. I was in a relationship. I went back to France. Well, I changed many things to make that happen, because I really believed this was what I wanted to do, and it's still the case, and it's still driving me. But I'm right now in a place where I'm actually asking myself a lot of questions around that. Do we really have just one purpose, or do we have many different purposes? And because I really believe in life and the fact that life is always in motion, and it's just about movement and transitions all the time, and I feel life is just about transitioning to one to another one. Right now I'm like, is coaching really my purpose? And maybe it was at a specific time in my life, in that specific chapter of my life, but now I feel there is something different opening to myself. So I'm questioning that right now, actually.
And I love what you're saying about the having many purposes, and this idea that life is always changing, and why not flow with life, with what is, and not being attached to one idea, one thing, defining ourselves, having one thing as a definition of who we are. I do believe that life is changed in the sense of coming from that personal perspective. If we are a separate entity from life, then it can be felt powerfully that everything's changed and we are kind of going with the motions and all. I call it flow. But then there's another aspect of who we are that is life itself, actually, which is always there and never really changes. It's kind of undescribable to say, but it doesn't really change. It's this amazing space that just, it's just there, has been there since we were born. If we were born, in a sense, if we are life itself, we are never born in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you're saying. And it's like life is a kind of a container that doesn't really change. And inside that container, there are a lot of things changing, whether, again, it's nature, animals, the weather, and us, because we're part of all that ecosystem. And maybe it's, again, I was talking about a recipe and ingredients earlier, but maybe we are the ingredients of life.
So you are also, never heard that before, you are a certified practitioner of the Nonviolent communication and training. So I never heard about that specific certification or practice. Talk to me for a moment about that, Benedict.
Sure. So personally, I'm not a big fan of the name of it.
Yeah. Right.
So, a lot of people would also refer to it and talk about conscious communication. And it's an approach that was actually developed by an American psychologist called Marshall Rosenberg, who developed a very, very, very simple approach to help people better communicate with themselves and with others. And this approach is just based on 4 steps. The first one is about observing the situation in which we are from a very objective and factual posture. It's about naming all the emotions that can actually emerge from that situation, whether, again, they are satisfying or unsatisfying emotions. And behind every emotion, there is actually a need that is fulfilled or a need that is not fulfilled. And as long as we can actually name and identify the need that eventually is not fulfilled, then we can also find a strategy to find a way to fulfill that need. And so again, more our needs are fulfilled and more aligned we are, and more we can actually live what we want to live. So it's very much about identifying what's happening inside of you, what it is alive inside of you, whether it's joy or anger, but joy would definitely be connected to a need, and anger as well. And so you can do that work with yourself, but you can also do that work with others. And what's really important, especially when there is, for example, a conflict in between 2 people, is making sure that both people can actually nurture and fulfill their needs, and together having a conversation so each one of them would understand what are the needs that they respectively need to fulfill, and finding a solution together. That's how I would describe it.
It goes back to self-awareness, doesn't it?
Very much. And it's so interesting. I was actually running a workshop about managing your emotions last week, and I could see that the people participating in the workshop, so first of all, naming their emotions is one step that is not that easy, but then really identifying the need that is hiding behind the emotion was much more challenging, as we were not used actually to really identify what we need. But whatever we do in a day is just to fulfill a need. It's our subconscious that is actually driving our decisions and our actions, but they are all related to finding strategies to fulfill our needs.
What a fascinating topic. I mean, life itself, this whole journey, is just amazing, isn't it? The things that we can discover and learn is just, and have fun with while doing it, is just incredible to me.
There's no ending. It's a life journey.
When did you discover that, the practice of self-awareness for yourself? And how did your life change after that practice?
I think I always had it in me since I was little. I think I'm very curious, so I've always been asking questions to myself. And I remember when I was a teenager or a young adult, I remember friends coming to me and reflecting with me and asking questions and telling me, "Oh, you're so wise." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So I think, that's something I probably had in me from a very natural place. But I think then it really started when I studied coaching, because when you study coaching, obviously you coach others, but you also need to do a lot of work on yourself to be ready to welcome others wherever they are in their life. So I think it really started from there, and because I'm very curious, I tend to train myself on many different things, but also to read and to participate in workshops, and even things that I think I would have never thought of before. Now I'm just experimenting. Let's put it that way. Trying and see what resonates with me. And again, there is no good or bad or in anything, but it's just deciding what would actually serve me and use it. And now I have my own strategies, whether it's journaling or meditating or having a vision circle every month with friends of mine who are in the same state of mind. But I think it's really, really important because, like I said earlier, self-awareness would actually set the tone for your actions and what's coming for you. And when you actually stop being aware of yourself, the risk is basically to lose yourself and to have your actions not aligned with who you are at that moment. And so that's when you can eventually burn out or get into a conflict or say yes to something that you should have said no to. So it's important, and it does require a lot of self-discipline because it's an exercise that you have to do constantly all the time.
Do you see a connection between self-awareness and I think what they call emotional intelligence?
I guess so. I think to me, emotional intelligence is maybe a part of self-awareness. I see self-awareness as something that's whole. And in that self-awareness, that's whole, there are like different features or parts of what makes self-awareness being self-awareness. And I think emotional intelligence is just one component of it. That's how I would see it. But definitely because emotions are so important, that's what drive our actions. That's also what would actually impact our personality traits, our personality as a whole. So depending on how we do manage our emotions, we do react differently to certain situations. So more you can actually be aware of them, more you can have a certain awareness around your own emotions, but also other emotions, and easier it is to drive your life.
Yeah. So I would say that too. Yeah. So it might be that self-awareness is like the main component, the key component of emotional intelligence, because it has a lot to do with thoughts. Yeah. Emotions and feelings, they are connected to thoughts. So if we are aware of our thoughts, then that means we are very much not in control, but I would say I don't like the idea of controlling anything or forcing anything to happen. So what is another better way of saying that? What do we do with our emotions? I know we are aware of them, but we are also doing something. Is it making choices? Yeah, it might be choosing, right, Benedict? The emotions that we can express.
I agree. I'm same as you. I'm not a big fan of the term control, but I understand the idea behind it. And it's maybe about understanding, being conscious. Yeah. And then because you're conscious, then you can make the right choices.
We're almost at the end of our conversation, and I do have a few more questions for you, the ending questions. Would you like to add anything?
To whoever is listening to us, I just invite you to welcome life as it is and to question it in a beautiful way. Filled with love, and just believe that life has your back, and life is actually very simple if you choose to see it like that.
I love your message. Thank you. It's a very profound and needed. In a way, what we want to see, like in my case, what I envision is just this reality with more peace, seeing more peaceful faces, human beings, even if this is a dream. So it becomes a dream like that, where we are just peaceful and we are smiling more often, less worries, less concerns, less fear, ultimately. So thank you so much, Benedict, for your message and your contribution to that. I do have a few more questions. I'll ask two of them. If you knew you would die soon, meaning leaving the body, would you make any change or do anything in a different way?
Not really. Yeah. I think I'm very, very aligned with who I am and what I do now. If I knew I would die in a month, maybe I would definitely go see my family who was in Europe and really spend qualitative time with my loved ones, and probably travel a lot just to meet lots of different people and live something. Yeah, live maybe more experiences in a shorter amount of time. And just finding strategies to feel even more alive than how I feel now.
And my last question is, what are 3 things about life you know for sure as of this moment?
Life is beautiful. Life is easy. And I don't know, I want to say something like it never ends.
Right.
Something around that.
Yeah, it sounds very intuitive to me, right? This is what I kind of becomes to me a lot of times. It's just, there's no beginning, no ending. So it just keeps being what it is. It is a beautiful thing. I love the word you used too. It's beautiful. It is. So thank you so much again for your simple presence. But in that, I want to say that is very calming, very grounded. It's a beautiful presence that you have. And before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, your services, future projects, products, coaching information?
Yeah, so you can find me, you can have a look at my website, which is benedictcoaching.com. So it's BENEDICTE coaching.com. And you can also find me on social media as Benny, which is my nickname, BENE, the Nomad Coach.
Thank you so much again, Benedict, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Valeria.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Benedicte Florio and her work, please visit benedictecoaching.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.